Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Kafka was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reaver of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com, you will catch the Reaver of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on shrmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Dude.
Radio.
Dude.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. It is the 3rd of February, 2016. I'm your host, Sackhead Sean, along with my co-host, Sackhead Clint, who's looking mighty spectacular this evening, I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I saw this outfit, and I pulled it out of the closet. Been a while since I've worn it.
Yeah. No,
and I knew you'd appreciate it. My favorite was when we walked in to get dinner. Which was, I didn't expect that reaction.
Right. No, it's not often I see you in a skirt these days.
That's not true.
You've gone full pantsuit.
That's not, yes. Yeah, so, and in case our listeners don't know, because unfortunately there's no visual right here. So I got a speed suit.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what a speed suit is,
just Google Italian speed suit.
Just Google Italian speed suit. I didn't bring in like a Ferrari Roadster or anything like that, although it would be awesome if I did. But I am wearing a speed suit. And the best part, and I found these in my size because I have huge feet, but I actually found in a thrift store, and I sent Sean the picture, and he said, that's amazing, you have to wear them. But my white patent leather boots,
right,
complete with wooden heel.
Well,
which is phenomenal, I gotta say. And my speed suit fits me so perfectly, it actually looks like I'm smuggling plums in the crotch area.
I wouldn't even say smuggling, because smuggling would be trying to hide it.
Trying to conceal it, right?
These are more like accentuating.
Right. Well, accentuate, smuggle, whatever. But the look I got was priceless. And then when I slapped you on the ass.
Well, see, you know what's funny is the other thing I'm not used to is your wig.
First of all, it's a merkin. It's not a wig.
Oh, man.
Those who listen to the show know what that is from when you referred to somebody as Michelle Merkin.
Angela.
Angela Merkin.
It's horrible. It's one of those things I wish I could forget.
Oh, not me. That needs to be a commercial, pal.
Somebody's in the chat room. High Plains Pundit, as a matter of fact. If you're not in the chat room, shrmedia.com. Click on live chat.
Yeah, and then what do I do?
Click on live chat to join the conversation, then log in.
That's the part I always mess up.
Yeah, you do that a lot. Anywho,
you know what else I do a lot of?
No, I
go ahead. Let's just move on.
I prefer. What were we talking about?
What?
I didn't want to talk about that.
My speed suit.
Your speed suit. That is 100% correct. Your speed suit.
Are we going to talk about what we're wearing on our special trip?
No, because remember I said that we weren't going to blow it out yet. We're not quite ready to make that commitment.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not quite ready to make that commitment. But I just, like I said, I appreciate how it accentuates you, and other stuff.
How do I sign as a guest? What is this sorcery?
You and everybody else in the chat room. So a lot going on this week. Can't wait to get to the Iowa thing that took place yesterday. A lot of interesting stuff out of there, and some more things as we go down the line. But more importantly, outside of the speed suit, how are you?
I'm great. Look,
author of Take It From Me.
Listen, we wrote how many more chapters tonight?
Oh, we're up to like 49 chapters. It's going to make War and Peace look like bathroom reading.
Right, but you're going to be laughing the entire time you're reading it.
Take It From Me by Sackhead Flynn. It's just that look you get when everything goes wrong in front of you, like you just kind of like have that grimace face and your hands go up and you're like, I know.
Right.
That is exactly what I picture on the cover. And literally you're standing like in water and the water's on fire because like
that would happen to me.
Right, the probability of that happening is so slim, but it does happen to you.
Right, at some point everything has a flashpoint. And if water, it could be raining outside, and if it were ever going to ignite in the history of the universe, it would do so while I was standing out there. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Well, my favorite. None of that was more obvious than tonight when you were telling me the motorcycle story. You went for a lovely ride.
I did. So I went for a lovely ride. And first of all, my week has just been absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yes.
So I went for a ride, and I went. I don't even know where the hell I was. I just rode, and I came across a fire trail, or a trail like went kind of like along this creek. And I have a dual sport bike, and
no big.
Yeah, no big. I'm bragging. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this trail. No signs, no private property or anything. It was like a fire road that just went right along this creek. Beautiful area. And I was riding, and I probably ran a few miles in, and it dawned on me. I was by myself. Nobody has any idea where I was.
At all?
At
Whatsoever?
all. Yeah, at all. No. Nobody even knew I was on a bike ride. That's not true. I saw T-Bone on my way out.
Okay.
So I waved to T, so T knew I was on a ride.
T knew that somewhere it was you on a motorcycle.
Right, somewhere in the United States.
So that should really just kind of narrow it right
Right,
down.
however far I could have gotten in however long I was gone. And I thought...
You're just so naturally outdoorsy.
I thought, should I turn around? Like, what could go wrong? And I said, nah, it'll be fine.
Take it from me.
And I kept going, take it from me, it'll be fine. And which point, Sean got this look on his face while I'm telling him this. And he said, listen. He said, if you ever have that thought, and we've had this talk before, if you ever have that thought, call me. And then I'll tell you what could go wrong, like you could die, and nobody would know where you were, and then you would do what you're going to do anyways because you're stubborn.
Right, because it's you.
Right, and I would say, okay. And then he said, but you're not going to do that, so how about next time you just drop a pin on the map and text it to me?
Right, like a normal human being would do.
Right. And then I looked at him and I said, Sean, do I know how to drop a frickin' pin on a map? Like, if I have a hard copy of a map, I can drop a pin.
Yes.
Yes, but how the hell am I supposed to get it to you? There's no mail service there, you jackass.
So we decided at that point...
Carrier pigeon.
It would be best if you...
Had a carrier pigeon.
Right, had a carrier pigeon on standby.
Right, just like in my tank bag or something. So that I could drop a pin in a map and send it off. Almost like Hogwarts.
Now...
Right, where I could just send an owl to you. So I ultimately did turn out. I ended up going somewhere, and I was like, there's snow on the side of the road. How could this turn out bad? Like, what could happen? Take it from me.
I just picture the next time you're on a trail like that, and you're like, wait, before I go any further, I got to send the pigeon out to Sean. And you open the saddlebag, and you're like, oh, right, pigeons need food.
Right. Right, or more my luck, I open the bag up and it's a duck.
Right.
And I release it, not realizing there's blinds like a half a mile away, and it never reaches you.
Bang, bang, bang.
That would be more something that would happen to me. Let's be honest here.
No, that's pretty damn funny. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful ride.
Well,
good. Beautiful ride. I ended up making I hit a road finally, and I had to plug in GPS coordinates. And when I finally knew where I was going, I shut it off. I ended up stopping and having a nice prime rib dinner at this little place, kind of out by the area I was riding in. And I came back.
Well, and I know that's your new thing, and it's something that you're really enjoying. And I'm glad. I'm glad you're out there and enjoying yourself. I'm glad you're having a good time. You're not very intelligent about it, but I'm glad you're having a good time.
What are you talking about? I didn't get in over my head, or I was like, nobody knows I'm here. Should be fine.
This time.
Right.
Just for the record.
Right.
This time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, not my smartest move. Look, I had some great pictures, though.
No, you did, and they came out fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what? You should tweet one of them out.
I don't know how to do that. Hang on, let me tweet this out. Hang on.
At SackheadClint on Twitter, for those who don't follow. Don't buy stock in Twitter right now, because it's falling faster
Twitter is?
than a North Korean satellite.
That's because... Who tweets?
Who tweets?
Anymore. Nobody, right? Hang on.
You?
Well, I'm about to. Hang on, let me figure out. Okay, compose new tweet. Yeah, that's me. What's happening? Oh, there's a picture there. Look at that. Hang on, I'm figuring this out. I'll get it. Trust me. What could go wrong?
This is just...
Hang on. Tweet.
I
think I sent it.
I gotta disconnect the smoke detector.
I think I sent it. Did I send it?
Hold on, I'm looking.
Come on.
Does anyone have Twitter up right now? Go to @SackheadClint and see if he actually sent it.
There, I sent another one too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I think I nailed that.
Oh man, so
did that go? Is this thing on?
Is this thing on?
Did somebody turn the Twitter on before I sent that?
Don't you have to do the rotary thing to get it charged up?
I did. You made the symbol for me to run in place. That's what I did before I clicked the little button thingy.
I'm proud of you. You're getting technologically advanced more and more. Did you hashtag it anything?
No, I just did the picture. Was I supposed to write something too?
I'm just...
Here, you retweet it and hashtag something. I don't know.
I'm not going to retweet it.
Yeah, why would you?
I don't need to retweet it.
What do I have, like 3 followers? Because I never tweet anything.
You have 62.
I have how many?
62.
Who the hell does that?
Somebody's asking in the chat room, is it this trail in which the body is buried, meaning Sacco's?
Hang on. First of all, we are on the air. And so to accuse something of that nature is absolutely no. However, there may be bleach and rolls of carpet stashed out there. Now, that being said...
Right, that's only because...
Yeah, clearly I was on a motorcycle, and there's no way to drag a body out there tied to the back.
Well, what I'm saying is the reason we had the bleach and the rug out there is because we were planning on opening a hotel out there.
Right, and building a tree house at first.
Yes.
Right? Which is what we were going to do. And
yes,
bleach
that was the other reason.
As everybody knows, is very good at
that
killing
was the
weeds,
other reason.
I think.
Where do you want all that lie?
No, so that trail is actually the first, if that looks familiar to you, that's actually the first place we tried to take Sacco. But he found his way back.
I know, he's just... Well, you know, when you're part Wolverine and you have senses like that...
Right. He's half Wolverine, half Chewbacca. He's a Chewbacca-rine. A Wolf-a-Bacca?
Enough of this general jackassery. Let's get on to the University of Connecticut.
So the University of Connecticut, they love segregation.
Well, why wouldn't they?
Well, that's my question. I don't know. They do. So I saw this story. They're... What?
Not that I love how we just predispose our the listeners to believe one thing going into it. So the University of Connecticut loves segregation.
Right.
Moving right along.
Right. Next question. This unconfirmed report. So, so they've had. I guess they've had a low rate of an alarming low graduation rate for black males in the school. So what the university decided to do, and it's supposed to start in fall of this year, is they want the 40 undergraduates, all of whom are black, to live together in on-campus housing.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you guys can't graduate, so you all have to live here together. Look, what could go wrong with that? What's the problem? I would like to remind everybody that this school does, in fact, receive public funds from the state of Connecticut.
Oh, man.
They think it's a great idea. They say, listen, the students can draw on their common experiences.
Oh, God.
What's the problem with this? What could possibly go wrong? I thought you were going to play the other part of that with Ken's part.
Hey, boys.
That's, yeah.
Now, what could possibly go wrong? Well, first of all, I want to talk...
Right. Who came up with this idea? Listen. So, sir, we have an alarmingly low graduation rate for our African-American student body. Yeah, I agree. That's troubling. So, what we need to do is we need to round them up. And
no, guys, really, hear me out on this.
Hear me out on this. We need to round them up, and we need to put them in their own housing.
What?
Like in South Central Los Angeles, because that's a little far for them to commute. No, that's ridiculous. We're not talking about their own communities. We're talking about their own place to live here on campus. They're still part of the campus community.
So the old county jail,
but they can
they want to lease it out.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying,
but they can do this.
God,
I got this idea from this book I read. It was called Mein Kampf. Anyways, it seemed to work out well for a little bit.
Absolutely and insanely racist.
I would think so.
I really, but
I read this story and I said, "Are you kidding me? What year are we in?"
What a horrible idea this is.
Right.
It almost. Have you ever seen Family Guy?
Yes.
When Peter thinks he's a woman or is convinced he's becoming a woman, and he's mad at all the men, and he goes in front of the Million Man March, not realizing it's the Million Man March, and he jumps in front of the microphone, and he says, it's you people that are responsible for all the violence, and it's you people that's all that's wrong with this country.
Right.
And it's, right?
Right.
This is almost one of those moments.
Almost. And look, so there are still black colleges that exist, I believe. Correct?
Yeah.
So if they don't want to be included,
And I
then
don't
they
think
could
they're
apply
exclusively black colleges
but majority,
anymore.
right?
Majority, yeah.
So obviously they're going to a school that how do you promote inclusiveness and diversity and all of the things that you espouse and yet say but you should really live here. No, just you people.
Right. And I want you to live in that building over there.
Right, just you people.
That building doesn't have a roof. And to make up for some of the work that you could do, we're going to have you work in the fields.
Right. Right.
What?
Wait, huh?
Yeah, we figure a little agriculture would be good for you. Maybe get you into a good work ethic. Get out there every day. And there's a cotton shortage in this country. I mean,
right.
If this was anyone, and I'm not going to...
So would you consider this a batshit crazy
Oh,
idea?
totally batshit crazy
Okay.
idea.
I have another, in keeping with our education theme this segment, I have another batshit crazy school.
Awesome.
Not the school, but one particular professor. Darton State College. Ever heard of it?
No.
This is a story. We haven't heard a Sean reaction segment in a while, so here you go.
Okay. There's
a Georgia police officer who's taking classes in his off time, and showed up in school. He was in uniform, obviously carrying his service weapon, and one of the instructors in the class he was in kicked him out of the school.
Well, why not?
Because she was uncomfortable because he had a weapon.
What? So a uniformed peace officer. Furthering his education. Either before work or after work, doesn't matter.
Or on his lunch. Right?
Right.
Because classes are 45 minutes. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter why.
Why.
Is in a classroom.
Uh-huh.
And the teacher...
Taking a class.
Not just
right?
in there like hitting on chicks.
Right.
Right. It's taking a class.
Well, he was probably... it's a cop.
Well, you never know. You don't know.
Right.
Right.
Probably.
Right. Probably hitting on chicks. But
Right.
more importantly, trying to get an education.
Right. Well, I would argue the more importantly aspect.
Right. And and then you have this wingnut professor who doesn't feel safe.
Right.
And he just makes me feel icky when he's sitting in the back. And,
Uh-huh.
and it's just horrible how he's just got that gun sitting on his side like some sort of animal, and I think he's going to use it. Wait, you mean the guy who's ridiculously vetted and goes through a 6-month police academy and puts his life on the line, is trying to better himself? You're worried about him? Hey, how about this?
How about
It's one of the only people allowed in a gun-free zone to have a gun on him, and he's trained and vetted, and his background is checked, and he is free friggin' protection in case something, God forbid, knock on wood, goes sideways.
Uh-huh.
And now this broad, who is allegedly intelligent enough, what class? Did they say what class it is?
No.
Allegedly,
No. They did not say what class it was, nor the professor's name.
Allegedly intelligent enough to teach a class, can't see the fact that she's getting free goddamn protection?
Yeah.
She's going to be a wingnut leftist. And here's the funniest part.
I'm guessing.
The wingnut leftists are the ones who are complaining about, all these active shooter and mass shooters and blah, blah, but we have to do something to stop it. You're literally getting a free shield.
Right.
Sitting there.
Right.
To defend you.
Right.
And if something were to pop off, he would risk his life to protect you,
right,
contrary to the fact that he is not good enough to sit in your presence because of his line of work.
Right. And the policy from the school's website says students are prohibited from possession of firearms in or on college property except by law enforcement officers, which he was, judges and district attorneys.
The
possession or use of any other offensive weapons is prohibited. Well, first of all, handguns are defensive.
Right.
So that shoots their whole theory out of the water right there.
Right.
By the way, do you like that? Handgun shoots? Anyways,
out of the water?
Yeah, out of the water. So the school has since apologized. One of the vice president for academic and student affairs, Thomas Orman, said... No. He said in a statement, Darton State College is appreciative for the service of our law enforcement and welcome them as students on our campus. We have apologized to the officer for our misunderstanding. It's not a frickin' misunderstanding. Your professor is a jackass.
This is not a misunderstanding.
When he attended class on our campus, and we regret this happened. We have met with the faculty and staff involved and reiterated the Georgia. Yes. Oh, my gosh.
A misunderstanding would be if the teacher went to him and said, hey, I think we have a no weapons policy, even for cops, and let's clear this up before we go any further.
Right, or hey.
That's a misunderstanding.
Or misunderstanding is, hey, excuse me, sir, I like your Halloween costume. However, squirt guns can cause a distraction.
Right.
So I'm going to need to lock that up in my desk.
Right, and I know that you have a part-time job stripping after school.
Right, that's a misunderstanding.
That's a misunderstanding. A police officer sitting in class in uniform is not a misunderstanding. That's just left-wing bullshit.
Right. So
he made me feel icky, and I couldn't teach my class.
So note to cops who may be taking a class: don't go in uniform and conceal your weapon. Because a plainclothes cop with a concealed weapon, what could go wrong?
Oh, this is just unbelievable.
Now, this is getting better and better.
More school stuff?
Yeah. Do you like this school? Do you like the school block?
Oh yeah, so far so good. I'm loving this.
What's the problem?
Nothing. I'm waiting for we have.
Okay, so another school.
Okay.
There is a school. It is the La Plata High School in Maryland that is being accused of forcing children to convert to Islam.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, forcing a child to convert to Islam.
Uh-huh.
So there's been a lawsuit filed against the school. They've been accused of radical Islamic indoctrination. And the way they have supposedly been doing this is they have been forcing the children to profess the Muslim statement of faith. They've ordered them to memorize the 5 pillars of Islam.
Isn't that set with like Hana Kana Pana or something like that?
No, that's something different. That's something different.
Oh, that was the Stooges when they were making medicine, right?
Yes.
Hana Kana Pana, that's it.
The Thomas More Law Center filed a lawsuit on behalf of the parents accusing the school of basically forcing their teenage daughter to be indoctrinated, basically saying that when they were forced to recite the Shahada and forced her to acknowledge Muhammad as her spiritual leader.
Oh, what?
That they basically disparaged her Christian faith and forced her to convert to Islam. So the Shahada, Baba Wada Bada Bing Bang, is the Islamic creed, which is, quote, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. The school came out and basically said, well, we learn about all religions, and during its brief instruction on Christianity, blah, blah, but essentially the lawsuit says, no, well, there was brief instruction on Christianity, however, they failed to cover any portion of the Bible or other non-Islamic religion texts, such as the Ten Commandments. The school basically says, well, we learn about everything, but according to the lawsuit, is they study Islam for an extended period of time and gloss over all the other faiths in a relatively short period of time.
Let's have a good old-fashioned baptism.
Right.
You know what? I want to respond to this.
Go.
But I don't know if we're going to have time before the break. This
Go.
may have to carry over. We're a minute.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want it to be interrupted. Because
you're going to go on a rant.
I'm about...
Look. Let's take a break then, because you're up at 8:30. It's your segment, so it's going to cut into a portion of your segment. But
I'm willing to sacrifice.
Okay. See, this is where I love this surprise, Sean.
We're going to take a break. When we come back,
Sean reacts
to the Maryland High School indoctrination of students to Islam, right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cow from a stupid crow.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reaper of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com, you will catch the Reaper of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on shrmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to Sackhead's Radio Show. I am your host, Sackhead Clint. Waiting breathlessly for Sean's reaction. Sackhead Sean sitting across from me. Hey, and I do want to go into something here to get your full reaction. Just to be fair, you wanted to carry this segment over, so we'll do so. So real briefly, you can. There's a story. You can find the story. It's on FoxNews.com. It's Todd Starnes, and it's lawsuit: public school forced my child to convert to Islam. And within that article, you can click a link to actually see Exhibit Number 1 from the lawsuit. And one of the things I want to read to you, and this is reading directly from Exhibit 1, again, the link of which takes you to a thomasmore.org law center for behalf of the main lawsuit that was filed. So what it says is, Islam today, peaceful Islam. Islam at heart is a peaceful religion. Most Muslims' faith is stronger than the average Christian. Beginning in the 70s and 80s, Islam reemerged as a potent political force associated with both reform and revolution. Radical Islamic fundamentalists are opposed to Western civilization's way of life and imperialistic pursuits. Oh, sounds horrible. Talks about how these fundamentalists represent a small percentage of the population of Islam, so we must be careful not to label or assume. Jihad, a holy war waged on behalf of Islam as a religious duty, a personal struggle and devotion to Islam, especially involving spiritual discipline. Nowhere in the Quran does it say you'll go to paradise if you martyr yourself with a suicide bomb. Well, that's good to know.
Specifically.
Right. Islamic empires, it says setting the stage on Islamic culture. The Quran says men are the managers of the affairs of women, and righteous women are therefore obedient. Quran declares men and women as believers are equal. Talks about submission to the will of God, and a Muslim is one who has submitted. Links to Judaism and Christianity. And it says Muslims, Christians, and Jews trace ancestry back to Abraham. To Muslims, Allah is the same God that is worshipped in Christianity and Judaism. So that was bless you, Exhibit 1. Bless you.
Sorry.
So it goes on to show a worksheet on Islam in Exhibit 2 of this, where kids are forced to take this test, basically, of Islam, outcome, origin of Islam, talking about Muhammad and his life, and it's a fill-in-the-blank style thing. Islam grows and expands, talks about what the Quran is, and goes on and on. So I want to get your... What?
Nothing. I'm waiting.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
What are the 5 pillars of Islam? That's on the worksheet right here.
Let me just. Okay. Are you fucking kidding me?
Am I? No, it's right here. Do you want to take a look?
What? No.
No, it's right. No, it is. It's right here.
First and foremost, let's talk about the First Amendment aspect of this. You now have an agent of government essentially choosing a religion on behalf of its citizenry.
Yeah, but it's not Congress, so with the First Amendment, it's still okay.
But it's an agent of government enforcing one specific type of religion and not allowing persons to have a choice of religion.
But the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law.
I understand that.
So, yes, this is a violation of case law.
Oh, yes, thank you. But it's still a violation, technically.
Of case law, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's what the left freaking rails against.
Exactly.
If you made people like swear allegiance and get baptized as a lesson on Christianity, people would lose their minds. Right?
Are you out your mind?
Yeah.
Can you imagine even if they made like students dress as Shaolin monks and go to Shaolin monk class?
Shaolin monker and engage in Shaolin monkery.
People would go insane.
Shaolinery.
Or if I had to walk around dressed as Buddha, or not dressed,
you kinda,
depending on look like and dress like are two totally different things.
Okay.
I can do the hand thing.
I'm glad you clarified.
I can do the hand thing really well.
I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you.
You have a school system, and as we know, many of those who get involved in ISIS are under the age of 30 and over the age of 15, not just at home but abroad.
What broad?
I don't know. I just don't know. Their ISIS recruiters are targeting late high school, early college students for indoctrination. You now have a school district in Maryland. What was the name of the shitty high school?
Which one?
The one that's doing this whole indoctrination of Muslim life.
Yeah, Garbageville.
Garbageville Junior High. Senior High.
No, it's a high school. It's La Plata High School.
Okay. The Plate High School.
I didn't know you spoke Spanish.
Thank you. A teacher. Da teacher. Good call.
Thank you.
Has decided that this would be a good idea to further educate children about Muslims and Islam.
No, about all religions.
Well, no. No. You see, if they were going to... And I can remember growing up in school, right? You had, like, during history in elementary school and stuff like that, you had a group of people who did the history of Denmark, and you dressed Danish and served Danishes and stuff like that as a history lesson for, like, 2 days.
Serve Danishes?
Isn't that Danish? Dutch? Danish?
I don't know. Is that like the Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man?
Right, something like that.
Okay.
You know, Ireland and all that other stuff, to teach world history and understand that other countries' histories as well as our own.
Right.
This is not the same thing. And
no.
As you said, if this teacher... Now, the separation of church and state people must be going insane, right? The left,
no, they love it, I'm sure.
They must be, like, torches and picks and all that.
Nope.
Okay. Pickaxes?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Whatchamacallits? No?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. You have a teacher who, through the guise... And I would like to see what religion this teacher is. Just out of curiosity. I mean, what are the odds that it's a Muslim?
I don't know.
Probably pretty good, I'm guessing.
Maybe. I don't know.
I understand when you don't when somebody doesn't comprehend something, to try to educate them. Now, if they wanted to talk about how Muslims in American history, all the way back to the Pasha and all, the shores of Tripoli, et cetera, we've talked about that a million times on there.
Yep.
World War II, what most Muslims align themselves with, et cetera. You want to talk about common history, and you can absolutely talk about the percentage of Muslims that don't fire off bombs and kill people. You can do that.
Okay.
And that's fine. But equal time. Now, if they did a 10-day program, if you will, and picked the 10 top religions in the country and did a day on each one.
Right.
Class.
So let me see. You'd have Catholicism,
right.
Baptist, Protestant, Lutheran.
I'll give you Hindu.
What?
Hindu.
Okay.
It's a larger religion.
I was just going to go with all Christian religions to be a jackass.
Judaism.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, Tao and Buddhists. Like there's some other larger religions. But if it was more to discuss the history of each religion,
right,
and what it stemmed from, and I can understand that because you're teaching a historical value. However, you are acknowledging in a state school system that history has credence, correct? Because now if you're teaching it as history, you're saying that this happened.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. But to turn around and pick Islam specifically, and then to go a step further, and to have them take whatever the oath is called, the Shanana.
Yeah. No, that was a group from that did 50.
Oh, Bowser, right? I thought he was a Muslim.
No, he wasn't.
Okay,
you're confusing.
Shanana. To have them recite whatever, and essentially
the
that
Shabadoo
means
or whatever.
The Shabadabadoo, and that essentially is the indoctrination word of Islam. Is not only
bullshit,
but it is a frightening precedence to set within a public school. Private school, different conversation all the way around. Different conversation. I don't have to like it, but the legality of it's changed greatly. In a public school with public dollars, you have a teacher promoting one religion, in this case Islam, over others so much as to have them take the oath, if you will, of Islam.
I will not.
Is so insane. I cannot begin to even kind of cover it now.
And how dangerous is this, too, to train or indoctrinate our students to let their guard down,
right,
and downplay violent Islamic extremists?
Well, and
at a time when we really have to
be aware.
Absolutely.
And you quoted the pieces of Islam that were talking about peace and how nowhere in the Quran does it say that if you martyr yourself via a suicide bomb, you'll go to heaven. Wait a minute. It goes back to the same argument that we have about the Second Amendment in this country, so to speak. Just because it's not in there, the word bomb, doesn't mean
right
that's not the intent. Of course the word bomb wasn't in there.
Listen, nowhere in the Bible is the word bomb. You will not find the word airplane anywhere in the Bible. The Old Testament does not specifically mention an airplane.
Right. So to have that...
The Bible does not say that if I'm married and I have sex with 3 stewardesses on an airplane, that's adultery.
Right.
The Bible does not say that specifically.
Just like the Quran doesn't really like to highlight the fact that Muhammad kept like 9-year-old brides and stuff like that. So yeah, hey, you can pick and choose, I guess. But the word bomb doesn't show up. No shit, Dick Tracy. Of course it doesn't show up. That's like saying the Second Amendment doesn't cover semi-automatic rifles because it wasn't put in the Second Amendment. No, it's written with the technology at the time, understanding that as you move forward and technology advances, so doesn't the implication of the original writings.
Right.
So yes, the word bomb won't be in the friggin' Quran, you asshole.
Ass hat. Let's watch our language a little bit.
No! Screw that, I'm done. I already dropped the
ass hat.
F-bomb a couple times. Ass hat versus asshole. Good call, Clint. Way to keep us FCC compliant over there.
I'm trying to make this a legitimate operation over here, okay? I try and bring some class to this show, and you go and say asshole. All right, at least say fucking ass hat. God, come on.
And then they cut it back even more. And say, well, it's essentially the same God as Judaism and Christianity, and blah, 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 blah. No. Now you're watering it down and making it seem like, oh, one and all, it's all kind of the same thing, blah, 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 blah. I will state and agree with the fact that many of the major books of religion have a lot of coincidental information, and that sometimes the paths cross with one another. I will...
Right.
Yes. But
like people.
Yes.
Like pray.
Like...
Worship.
Yes.
Other than that...
and Islam, the Quran does speak about Jesus. Judaism speaks about Jesus.
So obviously Jesus was real.
You have a lot of them talking about him, so you can argue to the fact. But that doesn't mean that just because somebody's name's mentioned in a couple books, that we're all worshiping the same God anyhow, per se. I am the first one to admit that we could all get up there and figure out that, hey, we were all wrong.
Right.
I always think...
Wow, Joseph Smith had it right.
I always think of
like
South
there really
Park.
were gold plates. I
always think of South Park. Ooh, we were looking for Mormonism.
Right.
Exactly. That being said, to say that we all go to a different place in the heavens, I do not believe that. I believe that we all go up, and whoever's there is there. However...
Or if you were right, you go up. If not, not your day. You must have read Clint's book.
What's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen?
Hey, look at these pages are fireproof. Good, I have something to read while I'm in eternal damnation.
Right.
Jersey Joe right into the chat room. Bomb, 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 bomb. You gonna arrest me? Bomb, 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 bomb. During World War I, I was a bombardier. It's a great movie.
That's a great movie.
So, essentially, I submit, and hopefully more information comes out about this story.
It's not.
That this teacher is a Muslim.
I don't know.
And was attempting to use his or her position as an educator.
I don't know.
I'm just saying that this is my belief.
Okay.
And was using his position as an educator in a publicly funded school system to push his religion upon his students.
What could go wrong?
How could this go wrong? It is disastrous. It is tumultuous. This teacher should immediately be suspended pending investigation and terminated, in my belief.
Oh, no, the school is...
standing by.
Yes.
Of course it is! Why wouldn't it? What city is this wonderful education system in?
I don't even
No, I want to know because I want to get the superintendent's email address and I want people to email and ask some questions.
It was La Mesa High, or La Plata High.
La Plata High, Plata, Maryland High School, right? That's what we think it is. Okay, bing. Okay.
Carry the 2.
Oh, wow. So you go to Google and you Google it. There's a bunch of reviews. The first one, you have no right to morally or legally force a religion onto the children. Another one, Islam. Wow. Oh, man. This is... They only get 2.2 stars, by the way. For
I'm
their
sure they're
review
nailing it.
Whoa. Banning Kevin, a former Marine in his high school, should be ashamed. Apparently, they banned a former Marine from doing something at this school in the last week. Let's see.
Is that the father?
Uh-huh.
Was that the father who couldn't...
Oh, yes. Okay. Here's one defending it. For all of you out-of-state imbeciles talking about this school in a pro-Islamic refuge brainwashing our next generation, turn off your sensationalistic news station for a second and get educated. That would be the seconds, I guess.
Right.
La Plata is a great school, and as a 2011 graduate, I found this place to be actually pretty conservative.
Wait. When did this
2011
jackwagon?
2011.
Oh, so he's got life experience. Or
yeah,
Go ahead.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
And found the school to be pretty conservative, but on an educational level of the faculty did not believe in hiding information from students. All Maryland schools include information on all religions in select history class curriculum, not just dreaded Islam, but every significant religion. Oh, so now some religions are significant and some aren't. Very.
And why would they spend a couple of weeks on Islam?
No
and
matter
only
what
like
everyone
a week
here
on
is
the
saying,
rest?
I remember talking about religion and history class, and each religion was discussed as neutral as possibly could be. La Plata gave me priceless education. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So apparently this jackwagon isn't understanding what is going on now, because maybe in 2011 they gave you a nice even keel on religion, but in this one they specifically are choosing it so appears. The next comment, Mary Lopinto. American taxpayer money used to brainwash children. You have no right morally or legally to force religion upon children. It's not your job, and certainly not Islam. You should all be fired. The school's principal and vice principal should be removed and never enter the school system again. You're all a disgrace to the system and should never be around children. Same goes with the board. No Islam, period. Shame on you. That's Mr. Todd Quick. And I'll say these names because it's all public information. Jennifer, you got to go through. Actually, there's 25 reviews all of a sudden, most of which in the last couple of weeks. I don't know why that would happen. This is pretty good stuff. Yeah, this is Sven Joe in the last week using 2 textbooks to obfuscate the mission of indoctrination and to hide it from the parents is abhorrent. Then to not allow parents to have input after they found out what fascism did in the 1930s. There's a little wording error there, but and what is going on in this country. I pity the children who have to deal with what is going on here, as it is going on in Europe right now.
My favorite review,
yes,
is 5 stars. JK, this school sucks.
Where was that one?
It's
Sean Radchenko about a month ago.
Radchenko?
Yes.
So even the Russians see it, so you know that it sucks.
So I am going to write a review of this school, and I'm going to give it 1 star, as in hated it. As in American citizen,
Are you reviewing right now?
Disgusted, yes, by this school's attempt at indoctrination.
Use your fingers to spell that.
As a media pundit.
Oh, you're going to get so much hate mail.
I find it comical.
Thank you for the material.
That you would be so stupid to allow this, considering it's a school.
Considering it's a school.
I do, however, thank you for giving me a 30-minute topic. A 30-minute topic. Sincerely.
You should, since the students have to repeat the Shana, they should be forced to be baptized as well.
Radio show. Listen at shrmedia.com. All hate mail
go to
can
Sacco.
Go to Sacco at shrmedia.com. And I encourage you to leave a review for the La Plata High School and Radio Station Road. Oh, they should at least understand ours.
That's great.
You know what? This is worth every time. horrible idea. You know, the principal is a Mr. Douglas Dolan. The school's phone number, 301-934-1100. Email address, laplataHigh@ccboe.com. All joking aside, obviously, if you choose to contact and or email, please be professional. Be a grown-up.
Oh, yeah, because we were completely grown up and professional by what we just did. Come on. Don't make threats. Don't be hateful. Right?
Right. No, you can be comedic.
Yeah,
Don't
be
hateful.
comedic. Be juvenile. Say poopy butt. But don't make threats or
But
violent or
seriously,
anything like
express
that.
your outrage.
Right.
And here is why. Stories like this have a tendency to be a flash in the pan. They come and they go. They don't stay long enough for it to take hold and for people to get angry. This is something that, and schools will just allow it to continue. And I think that this is something that we absolutely, you need to follow up on. It's kind of important. And here's why, is this may be the Plate school in Maryland now, but it's not far from maybe being your kid's school here, wherever you are.
You know, stop getting all dramatic about it. I'm just in awe right now. I'm in awe that was supposed to be, if you look at that was supposed to be a 15-minute segment. Right? We had our education block, and it was supposed to be about 20 minutes total with those 3 stories, with the Maryland High School being about 15 minutes. You turned it into a 45-minute segment, Sean. Which is pretty impressive, I'm not going to lie. We have 3.5 minutes until our next break. You have
another school story?
There is a couple things that were kind of important that we were supposed to start getting into.
Squeeze them into the next segment. I mean, I just took this one.
You took this one of my segment.
Well, you know how we have the Surprise Sean segment?
Surprise Clint.
I have the Co-op Clint's Time segment.
Oh, no, that was beautiful because that was all about the reaction there.
It's just disgusting, man. Really, just disgusting.
No, it is. But yeah, La Plata High School was the same school back in 2014 that banned the father because he objected to a homework assignment about Islam.
Yes, I remember this.
Do you remember that story?
Yes.
I think we even talked about it.
We talked about it back
on
in
the show.
day. Yep.
So this school obviously loves Islam.
You don't make national news twice for the same thing and have where there's smoke, there is fire, folks.
Yeah. So, there you go. Now you know this school has a history of this stuff. And
yeah.
So that was the story before. The father objected to the Islam assignment, and ultimately the school banned the parent from going there. So La Plata's had some issues.
Yeah, with
a name like La Plata. How does a name like that even get to a school in Maryland? It's not like that's on the border.
Maybe it's from when the Spanish came over. The conquistadors.
Yeah, but didn't they own like Florida or something?
Well, I don't know. Listen, I know they owned a lot of property. They were kind of like the early Donald Trump, but I don't know where.
They had Florida. Gave a little bit of money for the revolution. Other than that,
and then they were like,
and like California.
Hey, I have an idea. Let's sell Florida. You think we'll get a lot of money for it, dude? It's shaped like a penis.
Right.
You're going to get a ton of money for this.
And what's great is that's actually in historical records somewhere, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's actually in historical records. That was actually the Spanish king's exact quote along those lines.
I'm being told that was the Bernie Sanders segment where everyone gets their fair share and it's free. And we're just warming up for the incoming Sanders administration of 2016. So, we're good. We're good on that.
We're up against a break.
Speaking of the incoming Bernie Sanders.
No, we're up against a break. When we come back.
You're not shaped like a gun, Joe. I know you're in Florida. It's shaped like a penis, pal.
And with erosion, it could be Jewish here shortly. So, when we come back.
But I mean, hey, look.
Which is funny because it's Florida. There's a huge population.
You're pissing all over Cuba. What else do you want?
Exactly. No, it's beautiful. When we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit about the Republican debate since Sean pretty much screwed that entire segment over, and then get into the caucus, which I think I spelled incorrectly on the board.
No, I think you nailed that.
Yeah, well, I hyphenated
There's a
it
K
on the
caucus,
board.
Right?
There is on our board.
All that and more on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network. Back in a bit.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Kyle was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reefer of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com. You will catch the Reefer of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on SHRmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. I'd like to just thank everybody for sticking around with us, especially through the last segment. I'm just doing a little Yelp work here. I'm making sure that La Plata is getting my full social media response.
Sean basically has a personal jihad going right now against La Plata. Are we at ideological war with La Plata High School?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Until they do something different.
Or awesome.
In other news this week.
Nothing happened. Next.
Not a whole lot happened. So just as predicted, In Iowa, Trump's going to make America great again, and everyone there felt the burn as Trump and Bernie Sanders won their Iowa caucus.
Spell caucus.
C-A-U-C-U-S.
That's not how I had it spelled.
No, that is not how you spelled it.
Is that the correct way to spell it?
I don't think so. I don't know. So anyhow.
And hang on, I got to throw out a legal disclaimer because our legal team said that we should do this. When Sean says caucus, it's not an offer. He's actually talking about an event that took place regarding the political process. Again, not an offer when you see us at the next event we do. So remember, the attorneys said that, hey, if you're going to say caucus, make sure that people understand it's not. Otherwise, we might have some kind of obligation to allow that to happen.
Right. So I apologize for that, but thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So anyhow.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Obviously, Ted Cruz, first place.
Is a douchebag.
Donald Trump, second place. And Marco Rubio, third place. And yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. So there's a story out there right now that the day of the caucus, you had, allegedly, Ted Cruz's people sending out a mailer and telling people that Dr. Ben Carson was suspending his campaign.
So I think, yeah, but was there not also the mailer said something? There was a mailer about basically accusing people of voter fraud.
Yes,
if they didn't vote and all this other stuff, and then also, and I don't know if it was a mailer that did it, but the campaign basically led folks to believe that Ben Carson was going to be dropping out of the race.
Yeah. And so what does that do? Well, that gets Ben Carson's people available and up for grabs, right? So if you're Ted Cruz and you're really trying to cinch a win, and he won by how many points was it? 3? 2? It was pretty close.
No, yeah, I think he beat Trump by 1 or 2, and they were all right there within like 5 of each other.
Right.
And Rubio was a couple behind. I think Rubio had 24, and Trump had 27, and Cruz at 28, something like that. I don't have the numbers right in front of me.
So is it fair to say that if that mailer did not go out, because that confused a lot of people, I'm sure, because, listen, if you're about to go in and caucus in Iowa, and you're all ready to caucus for Dr. Carson, I can't even stop you from this.
You can't.
Mute.
Caucus in Iowa, or you can caucus with Ben Carson?
Because we already did 30 minutes of this two
I know.
weeks ago.
I'm like a high school kid. Go ahead.
And I know the rumors of the Carson.
Okay, I have the numbers.
Okay.
Cruz had 27.6%.
Right.
What did I say, 28? So I was off. I apologize. Trump had 24.3. Rubio had 23.1.
Right.
And then Carson was next with 9.3.
So you look at, they went after that 9.3. And if this is true, if this was an intentional attempt by Cruz to confuse Carson voters into voting for him, that could have been enough points. If I don't know how many people it affected, but that could have pushed Cruz over the top from people who, especially from a religious belief, because they know that Dr. Carson's fairly religious. They know Ted Cruz is fairly religious. Obviously, they're not sure about Donald Trump. Rubio, I think they believe in his religion, but I think this one was between Trump and Cruz for the time being. As Agadoy pointed out in the chat room, the rumors about Carson's campaign has been going on for about a month, but it was a dick move. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was a dick move. It doesn't matter who's... listen, we knew people were really going to start dropping out this week. We knew after this caucus, and you saw how many people had fallen. Rand Paul dropped out.
Huckabee dropped out. Santorum dropped out.
And Santorum was the other one. So, you know...
Look, well, so the following people actually got delegates. Cruz got 8 delegates.
Yeah.
Trump and Rubio each got 7 delegates.
Yep.
Carson got 3 delegates. So what would have happened if his people would have actually gone with him, if it affected that vote? Would you have ended up with Cruz and Trump and Rubio with 7 and Carson with maybe 4? right? Which is a closer rate. Who knows what could have happened? Carson got 3. Paul had 1. He dropped out, so I wonder what his delegate's going to do. Bush got 1. Fiorina got 1. And Kasich got 1. Kasich just needs to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, Kasich needs to go too.
Kasich needs to go. But I think Paul. I could see Paul's delegate going to Fiorina.
You don't know now, right?
Right. I don't know, but I could see that happen. So I think Chris Christie needs to leave. I don't even know who the hell Gilmore is.
Kasich, Gilmore?
Yeah, got 0%. No kidding.
Happy Gilmore?
I don't know.
The golfer?
Jim Gilmore.
Oh, Jim.
Yeah. He was governor of Virginia from 98 to 2002.
Oh, Jim Gilmore. Okay. All right. Yeah, no, why is he even there? But listen.
Seriously, drop out. Nobody even knows who the hell you are. Like, the only thing they know about Gilmore is the Gilmore Girls, that old show.
Yeah.
And it's because Rory and Lorelai were hot. I mean, seriously.
Wow! We're going to go back to that after the show. We're going to have a discussion.
Google Gilmore Girls. Google Gilmore and what pops up.
I think I've Googled enough tonight. I think that's
You've
already
Googled enough.
the problem.
Yeah, that's not.
But yeah, so you look at this move on behalf of Cruz. It tells you a couple things. One, he was scared of losing to Trump.
It tells me he's an a-hole.
But two, if he approved this, if this was from him or he was involved or whatever, yes. It tells you that Ted Cruz may be more of an a-hole and his cards are starting to show.
Yeah. Look, Cruz lost some of my. I mean,
I lost respect.
I lost respect.
If this is true that he was involved.
Well, first of all, how does he not know that what those mailers said?
Because his campaign manager could do it.
Okay, but still, they went out. He sees a picture of it. As soon as it comes out, it's not like it's hard to find a picture of a stinking mailer, right? Hey, you know what? You're fired. This is ridiculous. This is not the kind of campaign that we're going to run.
Yeah, and if he doesn't come out in the next 24 hours and say that, I think this could be the nail in the coffin for him. I think you're going to see his stock start plummeting. Listen, as they go into New Hampshire, as we go into New Hampshire, Rubio, for the people on the ground that I know up there, is polling pretty well. This could change a lot of things for Cruz. Mm-hmm. And he could have really shot himself in the foot because, as we talked about at dinner this evening, if there's one thing conservatives vote on is integrity.
Look, and there's a ton of images online, and it says right on the outside of the envelope, election alert, voter violation, public record. And then you look at inside what it says, and it gives voting violation, and it looks like a citation. And it gives apparently, it looks like, I don't know if it's like a report card or a grade for like voting history. And then it says, show up to the caucus on Monday to improve your score. I mean...
Well, and you know what? Jersey Joe just nailed it in the chat room right now. I know this is not a lot of people's view, he says, but Cruz's actions are the same type of actions we complained about with Obama.
Yes.
And I have to agree.
Yes.
Revert Common Sense, Jersey Joe. I can't agree with that more.
Right, and this is why we're basically saying, look, we lost respect for this guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mary, you're 100% right, sweetheart. There are no citations for not voting. That was a scare tactic. That was a scare tactic to maybe some elderly folks or uneducated folks.
That's along the lines of those sleazy companies that send
Acorn.
out...
Yeah, it's kind of like an Acorn-esque thing.
That sends out those false bills.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To get you to sign up for whatever loan or whatever.
It's almost like Acorn was doing during the presidential election in 2008. Essentially...
Yes.
Essentially forcing people to vote for Obama even though they didn't even want to vote. It's underhanded, it's seedy, and it should be dealt with staunchly, but it's not going to, it looks like, because I just got a link in the chat room from Breitbart Ted Cruz will not punish staffer for spreading Carson rumor. This is written by Michelle Fields. It goes on to say Republican presidential candidate Senator Cruz says he will not publish the staffer who spread the report that Carson was dropping out of the race. I don't make it a practice of disciplining people for passing on public news reports, he said on the Mike Gallagher program. But there's a difference. If you...
Did he address the mailer at all?
I don't know. It didn't look like he did. But if you turn around and you say, hey, I heard Dr. Carson may be dropping out, that's different than, hey, Dr. Carson's ending his campaign, and we need to win this. You need to jump on board. All of this, the mailer, he stole votes. I agree, Joe.
Cruz lost my support.
I have to completely pull my support from Ted Cruz now.
Yep.
On principle alone.
Yeah.
I will not back a person who cannot run on their own merit. We talked about this.
Now, what if Ted Cruz is the nominee and it's Ted Cruz or Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton?
I will not vote.
Oh, see, I'll have to vote. We vote third party.
I vote third party.
Yeah.
It's your year to shine, my friend.
Sackhead Clinton, write in. I'll get at least 3 votes.
Well, maybe 2.
Yeah, yours and my mom's. Because I can't even vote for me. But anybody running against me would say, exhibit number 1, this book that was written.
But I think that Ted Cruz just shot himself in the proverbial foot. I really think this is going to resonate with a lot of conservatives in this country.
I hope it does.
Because, as we know, we've talked about it, conservative voters have a tendency to be educated about their vote. And they know the values This tells you that he is being so deceitful to get the nomination that all he cares about is the nomination and the presidency. And that, to me, is disgusting. And
it's not cheating. It's underhanded, it's misleading, but it's not cheating.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know, unless you go and tamper with the ballot box, I don't know that you could really cheat the election. But it's certainly below the belt, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. No,
it's below the belt.
Continuously below the belt. And you know, when it comes to votes, and that's our voice to government, and you're willing to try to manipulate that for a victory, as we said with Obama in 12 and 8, then your true intentions are not what's best for the country. It is what is best for the politician. In this case, it seems like Ted Cruz. That's a big hit, and I think this is going to cost him. You may now see Trump win New Hampshire. It's going to be Trump or Rubio.
I think Rubio's got a great shot at it. It's going to be Trump or Rubio in New Hampshire.
I
would agree with you.
And I think that his stock is going to fall, and as it should, because that's a really horrible thing to do. Now, let's go to the other side of the table. Oh, really quick. We were talking at dinner about this, and one of the things that I brought up is I disagree with the politics of Bernie Sanders. As a matter of fact, I think his politics are batshit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a socialist. There's no doubt. He's a socialist.
He says he's a socialist.
Right, he admits it. There's no qualms.
You know exactly who he is. I respect that.
But the difference between Cruz and Bernie, outside of politics, is the antics. Like you said, Bernie is who he is, and he's not afraid to say it, nor is he going to change.
Right.
Right? And I can, like you said, I respect, I think his politics are horrible, but I can respect the fact that he's honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even say that about Cruz right now. You can't respect it because the person he says he is, and this antic alone proves otherwise. This isn't a shot at Dr. Ben Carson like, hey, this is a bad stance that he has, and here's a quote. And we're back. Yeah. We haven't had an interesting circumstance like that in a few years. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a little while.
So, we never lost power. We never... Nothing like that happened whatsoever. Here is what did happen. Our broadcast console just completely shut down, killing our feed. Internet was there, everything else was there, just our broadcast console just died for no reason whatsoever. And your computer went on to say that it all of a sudden had viruses tonight that we've never had before. So, this is really bizarre. Oh, man, that was just bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. So, we move to the other side of the aisle real quick.
Well, you brought up Bernie Sanders, and I want to read a list here. So Bernie Sanders considers himself a socialist.
Oh, yes.
He says he's a democratic socialist, so that's good. But he's a socialist. So I want to revisit just real briefly, just to remind our listeners, I'm sure most of our listeners know this, but just to remind our listeners to who some of our more famous socialists in history have been. And this is socialism in one form of another. And look, I may say a name and you say, well, that's not a socialist, that's a communist. Or that's not a socialist, that's a fascist. Listen, either way, you're talking about big full government. You're talking about the extreme left scale of right-left, big government or all government, no government. And what you're really arguing between a socialist or a socialist on the far left side of the scale is communism and fascism, which is more of an up-down measurement on that scale as opposed to left-right. And I would love to take credit for that, but I'm not that smart. Actually, I think it's the book is called The Making of the United States of America, I think, and that's where I got the idea from. Also, Beck talked about it on his show several years ago when he was still on Fox News Channel and whatnot. Brilliant idea, but I read up more on it, and I think that's where it was. And so, anyways, so some form of big government, socialism, be it communism, be it fascism, some form of socialism. And I want to read these names. So we have Bernie Sanders, who's garnering large support here in America.
Scary as it is.
Big government for socialism, right? Stalin.
Oh, that's
Joseph Stalin. Vladimir Lenin.
Oh.
Right? Nice guy.
Misunderstood.
Mao Zedong.
Mao the Dong.
I misunderstood. Che Guevara.
Oh, Che.
He has his face on T-shirts and purses.
How bad could he be?
Not bad. He killed lots of people. Adolf Hitler.
Oh, well, listen.
I saw the best comment online when somebody called Hitler a socialist. It said he wasn't a socialist, he was a Nazi. The National Socialist. Anyways, I digress. Fidel Castro.
Fidel?
Yeah. Fidel Castro. Mussolini.
Oh, well, that's only because he wanted to fit in with Hitler.
Right. Hugo Chavez.
What? And that's worked out great for that country. Well, it's more of a company because nobody really has a voice except for the guy running the place.
Right. Kind of like SHR.
Right.
Maybe one day we can add Bernie Sanders to that list. That would be awesome.
To the SHR list?
No, to the socialist list that we just read. One of the comments was, no way a socialist would kill a third of his people.
No?
Really? Let's go back and review that list.
But there are people who don't care. That's the sad part. There are people who are like, it's all right. None of that. Our guy's going to be different this time.
Right. So who was the big... Was Hillary the big loser? Oh, she is a big loser.
She was almost a loser.
Look, Hillary... What'd she won by like 0.2%?
Yeah, Hill Dog squeaked it out.
How does that happen when she was how many points up just a few months ago?
Well...
Almost 20?
Yeah. How does that happen? It's quite simple.
Is she has to be urinating in her pantsuit.
Yeah, no, there has to be urine dripping down the pantsuit. And you know, I predict that you're going to see Joe Biden's face here real soon. We've talked about, we've had a couple.
Oh, I hope so. Look, he would get the nomination.
Yeah, Joe would immediately walk in with it. And listen,
I think Biden would win the nomination.
I think the Democrats are actually afraid of Sanders, and here's why. I think Sanders is a true socialist, and the Democrats don't want a true socialist. They want progressive socialist, but they want to still retain absolute power. Hillary Clinton, absolute power. She doesn't want to get in the office and share anything, right? It's just not going to happen. Bernie would. Now, I don't agree with anything that he wants to do. We can't afford it, and it goes against every part of our values. But Bernie is a true socialist. Hillary, we were trying to figure out how to, like, what to associate Hillary as. I went with fascist. You said
lesbian.
Right, and then before that, though.
No, she's a socialist.
Yeah, see, I don't think she's a true. I think she'd be more of a communist, to be honest with you.
That's a form of socialism.
No, right, but it's like.
Yeah, but if I say socialist, I pretty much nail it all.
Nah, I like specificity.
Specificity. I would view her more as a communist, particularly as she's going farther left as this campaign goes on.
And aggressive power.
Oh yeah,
government to control all, and not
just her to control.
Right,
all.
But she would be the government at that point in her eyes. She scares me more about something. She scares me more like with the martial law thing than Obama does. I'm not exaggerating. I could see her getting pissed and declaring. And be, you just, because she's Hillary and you don't like her, blah, blah, blah. No, because she's never dealt with reality, right? It's always been about power with her.
And her husband.
And people have died as a result, in my opinion. We're up against a break.
When we come back, you want to talk more on this, don't you?
I do.
When we come back, more of the caucus coverage.
And hopefully the computer will stay on.
More
caucus coverage right here on the
More condom when we come back from the SHR Media Network.
Consume Media Network. Right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Kaplan is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reaper of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com, you will catch the Reaper of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on SHRmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network. We were talking before the break about just the Republicans and Ted Cruz's thing, and then we got on to Hill Dog and Feel the Burn, which, you know, I have to take umbrage with that little quote that people are saying with Bernie. Feel the burn as his little tagline.
Is that because he has an STD?
That's what I want to know. Like, I've been taught my whole life that if something's burning, it's a bad thing.
Right. Like you got to get shots.
Right. Medication, or put water on it. It's on fire. Put it out. It's destructive. Right? But all of a sudden they're throwing around feel the burn. No,
right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's something you see like at a whorehouse.
Friggin' hippies.
Right? Feel the burn. That's not good. And how old is he? 107? You're not going to feel anything unless he takes those little blue pills.
Is he up to the challenge?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Oh, all right. You know, speaking of which, if we're going to cut into jokes, I was just reading through the news real brief, and I was going through Fox's lineup, and one of their story titles under elections is, will a softer, gentler Bill Clinton help or hold back Hillary? You can't write this stuff. Like, will a softer Bill Clinton hurt Hillary? No, it'll help her, because then there won't be any like stories coming out about what Bill did.
Right, a hard Bill Clinton is a problem. Obviously, he ruins dresses. Blue ones, interns.
What was that Monica said? That's
it's hard for her to swallow.
Hillary Clinton's one Clinton she just can't swallow, something like that. So then you get on to Bernie Sanders, and it tells you 2%. He lost by 2.0.
No, 0.2.
0.02.
Yeah, 0.2%, I believe it was.
That tells you how the Democrats are starting to view Hillary. Because this isn't so much a, hey, Bernie's that great. I think this is more of Hillary's that poisoned. And they know it. Listen, like I said earlier, Bernie is who he is, and everybody knows it, right? But Hillary is masquerading around as a sweet, almost grandmother-like, but tough politician of the people. When time and again polls have shown that people in this country think she's committed a heinous act. And I think people are starting to understand that she is evil. She's an evil human being. It's all about power with her. It's all about control. And you could say that about a lot of politicians, I understand, but she brings it to a new level. You look at when Bill was in the White House, how big of a role Hillary played and kind of interjected herself into a lot of places. You know, you look at Secretary of State, everything that went wrong with Secretary of State, and I didn't do anything wrong. Nothing. I don't know. Claims zero responsibility from Benghazi, the emails, nothing. Keeps acting like it's a non-factor.
Right. Her server. No big deal.
No, it's not a big deal.
Nothing was marked classified.
And I think people know that bad things are going to come for Hillary Clinton, as they should, and they sided with Bernie a hell of a lot more than she expected. Now, going in, There was like a 10-point difference or a 9-point difference. It was closing, but it wasn't 1% or less. And for them to caucus at 1% or less, 0.02, really, really says something about not what Bernie's doing right, but what Hillary's doing wrong. And I think this will force Joe Biden into action. I really do. As much as Ted Cruz's antics, I think, ruined his campaign for him long term, and I think he's done, I think that this caucus...
Unless he apologizes and...
Even still, I think the damage is done. That was a major scumbag move. It's not going away either, because all these other candidates are going to keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
Hey, weren't you the guy that tried to single-handedly steal a caucus by saying that somebody was getting out and tricking people? And let's talk about the mailers for a second. Here, I have one on stage. Looks like a violation. A parking ticket or a citation or a summons. And maybe if you're an older person or just a person who's not in the know, you're going to think if you don't show up, you're going to be fined.
Right. You're going to have action taken against you.
Right. Where did we last see this? Oh, right, with the Obama administration when they were running. I think he's done no matter what. I don't think there's anything he can do to save himself. Hillary Clinton, I think, has done no matter what. Even if there is no indictment. I think that this is her antics has done enough to destroy her campaign.
It's about time.
I agree.
She's gotten away with the stuff, I think, for so long that I think it's about time. I think that Rubio was the big surprise for me.
Yeah.
The fact that he finished third and that he finished as strong as he did with 23%, 23 point something, 23.1%, 7 delegates coming out of there. That is huge. And I think Rubio is actually in a very, very good position to win the whole thing. I think really you have a three-way race. You have Cruz, Trump, and Rubio. I don't know that Carson is really going to be a factor, although I guess he could really. I think he may surprise us still. I think Bush is done. I mean, if your name is Bush and you have 2.8% of the vote, that's a problem. I think Ego is going to keep him in it for longer, though, because he thinks he can take Florida and whatever else. But I really think at this point you have a three-way race. I think Rubio is in a very good position right now.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Rubio-Fiorina ticket.
I still say I'm not convinced at all on anyone. I just want to... somebody's going to wow me. I can tell you Jeb Bush needs to go away.
At this point, those are the two that wow me the most.
Right. Well, I understand that. But I'm not really sold on anyone yet. And I think the same for Democrats. If you look a lot of Democrat pundits and Democratic strategists, they're not going for the pushing Hillary over Bernie approach or supporting or pushing...
God, that painted a gross picture.
I know.
So you know.
Or pushing the Democratic ticket. Everybody is attacking Trump right now. And
look, Cruz and Rubio went at it pretty good in the debate.
Right. I'm just talking about the Democratic strategists and pundits.
Right.
Because they don't want their people to pay attention to what they have going on, but they want them to pay attention to the Republicans and then sit there and kind of point out different things to make them look bad. What they want to do is keep their voters out of eyesight until the primary for their person. Just enough to be like, right? But let's face it, the Dems, in theory, would rather Hillary than Bernie.
I think Biden would take it.
But at that point, I think you would see Joe Biden step in.
You better hurry up. Look, he's running out of time. If he's going to make a serious campaign, he cannot wait much longer. And you know he has in his mind an absolute drop date to where it's just absolutely too late to get in. That has to be approaching.
Mm-hmm.
The elections are in November.
Mm-hmm.
We're already into February.
Mm-hmm. He's going to go. He's going to go quick.
Now, I thought I read something that there were 4 additional debates added to the Democratic side.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Democrats were done with debates.
Well, it's really not a debate anymore.
No, I'm serious, and I could be wrong on this, but I thought they were done with debates. So if they added 4 more, did they do that because they expect Joe Biden to get in and give him a voice? Or give him an opportunity to be heard or exposed? Well, not that he needs an excuse to be exposed. It's Biden.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, don't say exposing Biden. Maybe that's why he and Bill got along so well. They're kind of the same people.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? It's very, very possible. I've also heard rumors that Bloomberg is going to run as an independent.
Yeah, depending who the field is.
Yeah, depending on who the field is. So, as much as we're focusing on the Republicans, and listen, if you watch the news and if you watch anywhere, all those media, it's all about the Republicans right now. Mainstream media is highlighting the Republicans, highlighting the fights, highlighting this, highlighting that, because they don't want you to look across the aisle and realize that they're in an absolute mess on the left. The only 2 candidates they have, and it's horrible. They have a person who could quite possibly be a convicted felon.
Soon.
And a total socialist.
Right.
They're in trouble.
Well, wait, a self-proclaimed socialist. Hillary's a socialist, too.
Right.
But one who actually says that I am a
Communist.
socialist. Speaking of communists, I do want to get this other story out real quick. I want to talk about who Russia's pissed off this week.
Okay.
Because we haven't had a Russia block for a while. And we're talking about socialism, so I figured it fits. On Saturday, a warning was issued, again, by Turkey to Moscow, saying that it would be forced, that Russia would be forced to, quote, endure the consequences if Russian jets continue to violate Turkish airspace. They had another incursion by a Russian aircraft, Russian military aircraft, into Turkish airspace. On Friday, despite several warnings to turn away, a Russian jet again violated that Turkish airspace, and it wasn't shot down this time. But the Turkish government saying, "Look, quote, we regard this infringement, which came despite all our warnings in Russian and in English, as an effort by Russia to escalate the crisis in the region. If Russia continues the violations of Turkey's sovereign rights, it will be forced to endure the consequences." They already shot down one Russian plane.
Right.
And there was a big stink over it.
Right.
Russian pilot got killed, right? The navigator got rescued.
Hey, if that was us, and
but this is irresponsible on Russia's part.
Yeah.
It really is.
It hugely is, and they're poking the bear.
They are, but it's the bear poking.
They're poking the turkey.
Poking the turkey. You have a bear poking a turkey. That should paint a picture for you. So, one of the interesting things that Turkey said is, quote, these irresponsible steps do not help the Russian Federation NATO-Russia relations. So they specifically mentioned the NATO-Russia relations. What that tells me, and I could be wrong, what that tells me is that, look, if this keeps up, Turkey's going to call for NATO assistance. And the countries are going to be bound by treaty to respond.
Right. As I talked about 4 months ago when this first happened. And I understand that even though you're bound, there are some countries that will refuse to send. But listen, this
hang on, I actually have hang on that, because one of our listeners, the Knight, sent in just instant messaged me and said that, hey, perhaps, and it's a valid point, perhaps their GPS was not working. It was probably made in China. Now that's a valid point.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, Mr. Knight, that's a valid point, something we had not thought of, and so this we may be able to blame China.
Right.
Just like we do for gun violence,
because they created
gunpowder. Yeah.
Yep. On the heels of this, as of February 1st, numerous reports that Russia's putting their super maneuverable Su-35S into combat in Syria.
You know it's serious because it has the S.
Right.
Which
S
stands for serious.
That's
right.
right.
Or super.
There has been...
If it was the SS, it'd be super serious. Most things with those initials have been historically.
The Su-35 is a 4++ generation fighter, characterized by its super maneuverability and has features of a Generation 5 aircraft. Russia, since the start of this, has flown, I want to say, 400 or 500 sorties. This new jet, which people are comparing maneuverability to the F-18, has new avionics and modern radar, advanced engines. It can accomplish incredible tricks with deceleration and can fly at a speed of 2,400 kilometers per hour, outpacing rivals in its class. It's armed with 30-millimeter guns and a lot of rockets and missiles. On the heels of the bear poking, or the turkey poking, if you will, Russia's moving. It's an untested aircraft. This is the first time it'll be in a combat role. The Su-35S. And by the way, I got this information from a website called SputnikNews.com. So it has to be legit.
Right. Anything called Sputnik News has got to be good.
So it just shows you that Russia is putting its best. Listen, they're not. I know. We're running low on time. Russia's not moving its top-notch fighter plane into position over Syria to bomb rebels.
Right.
They're doing that for Turkey.
My guess. Another Russian antic this past week is a Russian Su-27 buzzed a U.S. Air Force spy plane that was flying in international airspace, flew dangerously close, very provocative, according to the reports, and the Pentagon is looking into this. Very unprofessional in its intercept behavior.
Provocative.
Well seasoned. So those were two incidents by the Russian a-holes, by the Russian Federation. Did I say? Never mind. I do want to talk about something else from Clinton's emails because we haven't talked about any of her emails. And look, some big things came out since we last talked. Some of her emails confirm, the State Department confirmed that top secret emails were in there. Some of them will not be released in any form. They were so secret that they can't even black out the entire page and hand it to somebody for release because they're worried about matching blackouts. The information supposedly in some of them discussed human intelligence or intel gathered from human sources, which is a huge deal, like as in people's lives could be at stake with some of this information that allegedly was on her server that they pulled off of. And some of the information was so secret that even people charged with reviewing the investigation and members of Congress can't review the information.
Here you go. This is just a page that's entirely redacted except for the header, which says Department of State. Yep. That's all you get.
And it doesn't even say that because...
But don't worry, Hillary didn't do anything bad.
Right, because this information, it wasn't marked classified when it was sent, so I'm sure it's fine.
Wow.
And yet she still won Iowa.
Yeah.
How is she even in the conversation?
I don't know. It shows you how dicked up people in this country are.
Yeah.
Not our friends and our listeners, but the Hill Dog supporters.
She could have gotten people killed.
Very much
that
so.
Information may still get somebody killed. I hope not.
It's frightening. It's frightening.
And this was allegedly on her server. If she doesn't get indicted,
I don't know how she won't. I don't know how she won't. However,
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure just the mere presence of that information that she had on her unsecured server is a violation, I believe.
I just, as much as I hate to admit it, I just keep going back to Clintons in the past dodging the proverbial bullet in the legal system. And things that should have been done that won't get done, and they always find a way to squeeze out of it. And
look, 22 documents are being withheld in full because of the information that they contain.
Oh no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I have a really, really hard time believing that they're actually going to get her.
And the Clinton spokesman, Brian Fallon, says, quote, "They firmly oppose the complete blocking of the release of these emails. This appears to be overclassification run amok." Really? Human intel is overclassification? And hang on a second. They can say this also because they know that information is so bad there's no way they'll ever release it.
Exactly.
So they can say, oh, that's over. You should release it because that's overclassification.
It's like saying that the word bomb isn't in the Quran.
Right.
No shit.
Right.
Because you can't prove a negative, if you will.
Right.
We'll never know what's in there, so
because
can't
you
say
won't release it.
Right. Because they can't release it.
Right, and so we'll say, oh, yeah, well, you're just overclassifying. You should release it so everybody should see it's not overclassifying. Knowing full well they can't release it because they're dead on balls accurate, to quote Marissa Tomei in My Cousin Vinny.
You're dead on balls accurate.
It was dead on balls accurate. I guess the fucking thing is broke.
Awesome movie, by the way. Awesome movie.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, no. Listen, I don't care if Bill's free at this point. Somebody just said Hillary's going to go to prison, but Bill will remain free. I don't get me wrong. What Bill did should not be excused, but he'll never go to prison. But it makes you wonder.
Wait, you talking about the blowjob thing?
Whitewater, blowjob. There's a bunch of things.
Lying under oath.
Lying under oath, right.
Huh.
But it makes you wonder who's the real monster again in that whole relationship. You know,
I think it's her.
I think it's her too. I think the reports when he was still governor of domestic violence at the house and she was beating on him, I have no reason but to believe that.
Look, and if that's the case, he just wanted to get something different. Somebody wasn't going to kick his ass afterwards, right?
Can you blame the guy? I mean, really, I'm not condoning it.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination.
But look what he's working with.
I'm just saying, in that situation specifically, I understand why some people go out and rent a brand new car to drive around for the weekend, even if they don't go on vacation. You can't afford a new car; it just won't happen. So you go out and you rent that nice Mustang or something for the weekend, just to feel like
the newer model,
right? Just to feel it,
right? Just to feel
be
it.
Out, drive around, and look cool, maybe go out and party. You know,
it fits, sticks to the road, nice tight fit. You know, I'm with you.
I'm not saying it's right.
Right. We're just saying we understand.
Right. It's like Sam Kinison used to say, I don't condone spousal abuse, but I understand it. I know we're not allowed to make that jokes, or you can't make any joke like that. It's horrible. And that's the problem with America, folks. You can't make jokes anymore. Nothing's funny anymore.
Oh, I think everything's funny. Are you kidding me?
I know, but half this country goes insane if you. Oh, there's a great comedian, Bill Burr, who does this whole thing on
not literally, because that'd be gross
on women, and that was his whole thing. Is hey, I'm not saying it's right, but you can't say there's never a reason, ever. I'm not saying the guy shouldn't be buried under the prison for doing it, but that doesn't mean there's never a reason.
Right.
And it makes you think, and it's true. Constantly the guy's made into the bad guy, and listen, look at the Clintons.
Let's look at California. Sir, you pushed your spouse as you were trying to go by her, and as you did so, you bruised her. She had sex in front of our kids with the entire linebacking crew of the San Francisco 49ers.
I was literally trying to get to my children and
get them out of the house. You're under arrest.
Yeah,
sir.
You're going to have to go to jail for that. Wait, what?
Wait, huh? How do you know those marks didn't come from them?
What about the rest of the linebackers? Oh, they have a game Sunday.
Right. Oh. And why is Bill Clinton here?
Oh, he has a game Sunday, too. Yeah. Good luck, guys. I appreciate that. Somebody said Bill has the girlfriend. At this point, it would seem like Bill is the girlfriend. Have you seen him lately? Dear Lord, he looks horrible.
He looks old.
Yeah, the last few speeches he's behind old Hill Dog on. He is not looking good. And listen, I don't wish ill upon people. It's just not me per se. But he's looking pretty old and pretty rough. And I don't know how long he can keep staying married to Hillary before it kills him.
I don't know how long he can keep it up.
I'm sure he's
without that pill.
I am sure he's got pills galore.
Oh yeah.
That's I made the joke last week that how many emails does Bill Clinton have to release before they finally put Hillary in jail? I mean, he only has a couple good years left,
right?
And he can't spend them with Hillary. Guys got stuff to do.
Oh man.
Hey, that's it. We made it through yet another show, and you made it through with us. We went through the government shutting down our broadcast computer.
Yeah.
There was a helicopter nearby before that.
There actually was.
There really was. You could hear it in a low hover near us.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Which is weird, because I think it was landed on the roof at the time, so it's probably one of those stealth copters.
I'm sure it's fine. Listen,
there actually was a helicopter that I heard it.
I know. I remember it was bizarre. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure being here with you.
Show, not talking to you again.
Oh, I thought I was.
Join us next week here at 11 on the East Coast, 8 p.m. on the West Coast, Wednesday evening. Check out all the great shows on the SHR Media Network. Jump into Spreaker, Spreaker.com, search SHR Media. You can find all the great shows. Check out our website, shrmedia.com. hppundit.com, Reaver.one, our partner websites. Great people, great content. HP Pundit, High Plains Pundit is our news source. It's our go-to for Dan Butcher and the team over there. Always do an amazing job. We love them. Jersey Joe, the exceptional one, Kevin Clinton. Agador, check out Agador. Absolutely love the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Yes, sir?
I just wanted to say goodnight, America.
Good night, America. We'll see you next week. You interrupted me for that?
Yeah. God forbid we say goodnight to our people.
Late night conservative talk show in America. Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.